Hi, my name is Bibek Adhikari. I am an English instructor. In today's class, we are going to solve the speaking portion of Unit 8, that is, the art of debating. So, let's begin. Right, we are now going to start the speaking portion of Unit 8, which is called the art of debating. You might have had the experience of debate program at your school, right? So, you can even share your experience with others, students, about the following questions. So, what was the topic? Who participated in the program? How did they participate in the program? Who got the first prize and who got the second? So, and in the end, how did you feel about the program? So, based on those questions, you can surely do a short interaction. But in my class, I want to focus on the art of debating, or in other words, I want to focus on how to perform well in a debate. So that is my concern, how to perform well in a debate. In other words, today I'm going to teach you the art of debating. People may come up with the most stunning content for the argument, but the fact is that in most cases, nearly 1/3 of the marking criteria goes to your delivery of the material. So, delivery, of your material. So, one third of the marking criteria goes to this. While speaking passionately about poorly researched work probably won't win you a debate, marrying factual evidence with emotional conviction will. No matter how analytical and academic a debate is, your presentation will have a definite effect on your adjudicator as well as your audience. In a tight match, your win may rest on the drama of your performance. So, delivery to drama, that is how you win in a debate. So there should be a delivery, there should be a drama, right? In the art of debating, the most significant things that one should always keep in mind are delivery and drama. So let's explore about the subtle art of delivering or performing well in a debate. Exploring the art of rhetoric. Exploring the art of rhetoric. First of all, you should discover how to persuade through invention. You should discover how to persuade through invention. That should be your main focus, first of all. The 5 canons of rhetoric were first coined by Roman philosopher Cicero in the 1st century. So what he said was, he laid out these 5 major rules on rhetoric, dividing skillful argumentation into more digestible parts. So the first step of rhetoric is called invention. It refers to the nascent stages of an argument where you discover the pressing nature of your argument for a particular audience. So you'll need to have an understanding of your audience desires and needs. So what you need to do is you need to understand your audience. That is your first task. When appealing to your audience, think about balance of logos, ethos, and pathos and all that technical stuff. But my concern is you've got to master your art of rhetoric, but before that you must know your audience and you must try to impress as well as express your audience, right? So discover how to persuade through invention. Find out about that. So good logic, the art of rhetoric follows the given flow chart. There should be an introduction followed by statement of the fact, followed by confirmation or proof, again followed by a good conclusion, right? So this is how the logic flows from introduction to statement of the fact to confirmation or proof, finally to conclusion. So this is the general flow of logic. This is the general flow of invention. From introduction, you introduce the topic, then you give a lot of facts to the audience, finally you reconfirm or give proof and maybe do refutation, and finally comes the conclusion. Pretty easy. After that, you need to assemble your arguments with arrangement. So what does this even mean? Assembling your arguments with arrangement. The order that your audience hears your argument has a massive effect on how they'll perceive your speech. You see, you've most likely come across the 5-paragraph essay in your studies. You know that rule, right? There should be 5 paragraphs in essays and stuff like that. You already know that, I hope. While this format isn't appropriate for all speeches, the basic layout is, based on argumentative structures. So it follows the same flowchart that I just showed, from introduction to statement of fact to confirmation or proof to refutation and finally the conclusion, right? And after that, what you need to do is you need to express your argument as you improve your style. So what does this mean? Now that is another question. What does this mean? Expressing your argument and improving your style. You don't want your argument to be riddled with cliches and boring tired language, do you? So get creative with your speech, expressing salient points in dynamic way. Ensuring that you are proud of your style will help you perform it with much more conviction. You should also adjust your style to fit your audience. Make sure you express your ideas in a way that aligns with the moral and intellectual level of your audience. So that's why, first and foremost, you should get to know your audience. Know who they are, Maybe your audiences are your teachers, or maybe your audiences are your fellow students. So that certainly changes the level of intellect. That's why also that changes your way of arguing, your way of improving your style. You can make active use of various linguistic structures, like figures of speech, similes, metaphors, and all that stuff. And metaphor and simile are both nice ways to equate one idea to another. Maybe you can compare a person with a pig. Maybe you can compare an animal with a human. You can personify animals and you can, give animal qualities, give animation to human beings. So our leaders are very, well versed in this. They give the metaphors and similes. If you are used to watching news, you know how leaders use, Nepali leaders especially use simile and metaphors. Similes and metaphors. So comparing one object with another by using words like or as is called simile, and comparing one object with another without using any such structures is called metaphors. So if you say someone like, my friend is like a pig, that's a simile. If you say, my friend is a pig, that is a metaphor. See the difference? So you can use a lot of similes and metaphors. First of all, assemble your arguments with arrangement, and second is express your argument as you improve your style. The fourth thing that you need to do is speak without paper. So many people just, take the paper to the stage and just kind of dictate everything that's written on the paper. That's wrong. So speak without paper by committing your speech or your debate to memory. So memory plays a vital role here. Speak without paper by committing your debate to your memory. While it may seem fairly simple, it's good to remember that a memorized speech will always impress more than a speech read off a paper, you see. It's worth noting that certain aspects of your debate will have to be performed on the fly. Something has to go on the fly, something will go while you are improvising. So improvisation is always done, especially in debating, because you've got to improvise because what's written always is very stable and static, By memorizing the facts of your topic, however, you'll be able to recount these facts organically. This will help you grow more confident in improvising your speech. Now comes the fifth point, and that is amplify your performance techniques, highlighting your delivery. This is another tool that you should follow. First one was speaking without using paper, committing everything to memory. And second is amplifying your performance techniques, highlighting your delivery. The final canon of rhetoric is delivery, you see. This will lead you directly into mastering the art of performance in a debate. Focused primarily on gesture, body language, and your tone, your delivery is the key in impressing points upon your audience. Your facts may be completely accurate, but if you can't properly connect these points to an audience, much of your speech will be missed. Delivery will also vary to fit your audience. When speaking to a smaller audience, you can make more eye contact, speak more directly to those listening to you, right? So, but while we are talking about a larger audience, this may not seem possible. Now comes the second part, which is improving your linguistics or speaking skills. Improving your linguistic or speaking skills. First and foremost, eliminate filler words. Eliminate filler words. When your speech is riddled with words like and words like and other various aspirated sounds, you appear to know less than you actually do. So saying and using words like I know, I think, I guess, it makes your speech clumsy. Your verbal hesitations also suggest that you are taking time to find your next word. You want to avoid this in a debate, as you are aiming to express mastery over your intended topics. The sound usually takes less time to overcome in speech. The sound. It suggests that you have just finished one point and you are taking a moment to move on to the next. The sound can be far more dangerous, as they suggest that you may be searching for completely unfamiliar information. You'll want to eliminate both from your speech patterns in formal debate, right? So try replacing your filler sounds with silence. Silence is better. Sometimes silence is golden. That is another cliche. So silence is better than these filler words. Instead of using these filler words, it is good to remain silent and calm. This will give your audience time to stew on your last point, and it will also give you time to generate your stimulus for the next idea. Remember that everyone needs time to process before moving to their next sentence. You aren't eliminating this thought process. You are, however, making it appear that you are thinking less than you actually are. You are indeed thinking, but by being silent, you are in a way cheating your audience. So eliminate filler words. Silence is better. So be silent. In between, I mean. Find synonyms for overused language. That's another point that you should be very careful about. It's easy to settle into overused words and phrases while debating, especially because a great deal of your speech will be founded in your research. So there's a tendency for politicians to rest back on the trite language, and you want to avoid falling into those traps while you debate. When your work is highly researched, it runs the risk of becoming pedantic. So do not make your research too pedantic. Don't make it too scholarly. So if you're simply, saying facts from academia, your rhetoric can quickly become dull and very overly intellectual. No one likes dull and overly intellectual stuff. Look for the words such as capitalist and, Marxism and all that sort of words, while think about the various meanings, and in a way you can remove all those clutter. So don't make your speech dull. Do not make it boring and overly intellectual. To be an intellectual is a good thing, but being an overly intellectual is surely a bad thing. So don't make your speech overly intellectual. Cut the fat. Cut all the fat. Remove all the clutter. Remove all the clutter and nonsense from your speech. That's number 2. And number 3 is something that we should do, and also I forget to do most of the time. That is, speak slowly. Ours is a society which exemplifies fast speakers. But the point is, speaking fast, although it may be very clear, is not as great as you think it is. So there's a tendency, you see, especially among young debaters, to fire off facts in a rapid, nearly maniac way. So you're young and you want to go to the stage and you want to fire off all the facts, you see, in a maniac way, in a frenzy you want to do it. While you don't want to make your speech drag, You don't want to sound like a robot, right? You don't even want to speak in such a way that you are pausing at every word and thinking, and that would drag your speech. So, there are many benefits to slowing down your speech patterns. When you slow down your speech, you give your audience and your judge more time to process your strong points. It's much easier to enunciate if you slow down the pace of your speech. You may be able to get through a larger quantity of points, but it's unlikely that all of them will be heard. Try the pencil in mouth drill. If you want to improve your articulation, stick a pencil in your mouth parallel to your forehead and practice your speech while holding it in a place. You'll have to verbalize around this obstacle in your mouth, working harder to enunciate your syllables. Another point that you should consider is invent your rebuttals calmly. That's another point. Before opening your mouth, take a moment to take a deep breath and calm down your mind. There's a lot of pressure riding on the rebuttal portion of the debate, especially as you have to connect your various points in an improvised fashion. Boil your arguments into more specific points mentally before launching, and you won't win this portion of your debate by scattering new ideas into the air at the last moment. Sum up your argument into 1 or 2 sentences. You'll obviously be extrapolating on these top points, but it'll help you have a logical home base to return to. Focus on what you know you have done successfully. Don't be hard on yourself for taking the path of least resistance when going for the win. So, be calm, relaxed, and finally, sum up your argument. Speak slowly and invent your rebuttals calmly. Now we come to the part 3, which is called enhancing the drama. Nepalese are drama king and drama queens. We're very good at performing drama, so let's perform the drama. We are debating, no wonder, but we are also, in a way, giving our best theatrical performances. Consolidate your movement. Using gesture, using gesture, hand motions, and body movements can be extremely helpful in elaborating on your points. All public speaking is, after all, just an attempt to seem natural and accessible in front of a larger crowd. Remember the basic rule of physical gesture, you see. And what is the basic rule? The basic rule of physical gesture is NODS. What's a nodes? Nodes is something we call neutral, open, defined, and strong. So your body movement should be something like this. It should be neutral, it should be open, it should be defined and strong. You generally have a large space to inhabit while debating. Occupy this space fully, you see. You don't want to be pacing nervously, but you want to ensure that you look comfortable speaking in front of the others. Don't just run from one side of the stage to another side, Don't rely on gesture as a nervous tick. If you are releasing anxiety through gesture, then your gestures will not be strong. Instead, they'll add unnecessary motion, distracting for your speech. So, gesture is not something that is done to release tension. By doing gestures, we are not, doing mercy upon our noviceness. We are not releasing tension. So do not be befooled by this old trick that in order to release all the tension, all you have to do is make some hand motions. No. Another thing that you should do while adding up the drama is establish eye contact. Many people fail on this. Establish eye contact. And how can you establish eye contact? It's unlikely that you'll win your debate if you aren't making eye contact with both your audience and your adjudicator. In speaking in any public setting, the crowd will feel a trust in you if you connect directly to them. So a sense of trust is built if you make proper eye contact. Even brief moments of connection will serve you well, As for the instance, one person will feel that you are speaking directly to them. So that this gives a personal touch. The first one is establishing eye contact. Trust is needed and personal touch is needed. After you make eye contact with one person in the audience, deliver your next line or phrase to the next person. This way you'll connect to a larger number in a one-on-one way. So follow this. One-on-one way, you see. Follow this. First make eye contact with one person, followed by another person, followed by another person. So make eye contact like this. Establish a chain. A chain of trust is established if you follow this. You can also use eye contact to silence a distracting presence in your audience. If someone isn't paying attention to you, then a prolonged stare will make them feel uncomfortable. The hope then is that they'll quiet down or at least attempt to be less distracting. So staring is another good thing. If someone is being very disturbing and someone is trying to disturb you, is paying no attention, stare at the person and they're likely to be silenced. The third thing that you should do is you should diversify your tone. You should what? You should diversify your tone. No one wants to listen to a monotonous speaker, especially if you are being judged on your ability to craft a compelling argument. Changing your tone throughout will also highlight the breadth of your argument, as you should adapt for each section of your speech. So tone should be changing, It should be going up and down. If you're speaking about violent details, you'll want to adapt to a tone of disgust. While slipping in mild joke or self-aware remark, a humorous or light-hearted tone can even be very effective. So the tone should be always changing. And above all, your tone should always have some level of urgency. What should it have? It should have a level of urgency. This proves that you aren't avoiding the importance of topic at hand. Diversifying your tone is very significant, but you never want to forget the core of your speech. And the last thing that you should master is master the dramatic pause. Master the dramatic pause. Any moment of stillness in a debate should feel important, because so much of debate revolves around the power of oration. Any break in the action will feel heavy. So whenever you're breaking the smoothly flowing speech, you are in fact putting on some extra action. The dramatic and power pauses are the longest and often the most successful. They come directly after the large moments in your speech. When done poorly, these major pauses can really tank an argument. Make sure that you build up this pause with a great deal of momentum. Pauses can range in their use from dividing major points into a paragraph, allowing you to get a drink of water. Make sure that you are losing your pauses appropriately, as you don't want to break your focus with too much regularity. Lastly, we come to this. Close your debate with passion. Close your debate with passion. Passion is needed. So if you close your debate without passion, it's only half done. You always want to maintain immediacy while debating, but you want to make sure that you aren't letting your argument get away from you. If there's a time to relinquish some control, however, it's your closing statements. Often referred as the final blast, we call it final blast. In the end, you just blast, Your closing remarks takes familiar points from your speech and amplifies them with a final appeal to your audience. You can achieve this with a heightened tone in your voice, so you can just heighten your tone, raise your voice, so you can allow your speech to move a bit quicker than it normally would. Poking small holes in your composure will amplify your power as an orator. And this last effort may be crucial in solidifying a win. So these were some of the things that I shared about how to debate. Now that is the end of this how to section, but you can always find more and more rules, more and more suggestions, tips and advices, but that's okay. You can rely on them, but this is all theory. To be very good in debating, you have to master the art practically. For that, I'm going to give you one homework. Your homework would be watch a British parliamentary debate and try to learn how debating is done in an international level. This is your homework. Watch a British parliamentary debate. If you don't know where you'll find it, just go to YouTube. Go to YouTube and find a British parliamentary debate, a sample on it, and try to learn how debating is done on international levels. Done in an international level, right? That's your homework. Pretty easy. Watching video homework. You're lucky. So that is the end of our today's class. If you have any questions or suggestions regarding this video series, feel free to write us at learning@deerwalk.edu.np. Thank you.